I am finishing up my law school applications. I'm at the library right now, so if you hear a bunch of coughing and other noise, that's what's going on. If you watched my LSAT study tips video, I'll go ahead and link it in the description box, then you know why I'm at the library. Sometimes you just have to get out of the house so that you can focus, because I'm not going home if I didn't get what I came to do done. Filling out law school applications is a lot, and I'm somebody who I thought I was really prepared. I thought I was over prepared, but there's just some things that I wasn't anticipating. And so I wanted to share those with you so that you can know these things ahead of time. One is read through the full application, like even before you're ready to apply. So if you are applying this cycle, open the applications and read them, like go through each step as early as you can. If you're applying next cycle, the applications are open right now, go ahead and read through them so that you can know what to expect. And if you're applying like this cycle, well, ideally you would have opened them as soon as they opened and were available. They're just not all the same. Some of them have like little things in them. Penn Carey had a little blurb that said, "Is there anything about your household growing up that you'd like to tell us?" And that threw me for a loop. I didn't know what to say. Why are you asking this? Obviously for a reason, but what? So I had to think about what was not already in my essays that I could include. But yeah, read through them. They're all very different. Look into fee waivers as early as possible. Look into fee waivers before applications even open, because that information will be on the website. Some schools give you an automatic fee waiver if you have an LSAC fee waiver, and some schools you have to apply. Some schools require like financial information. Some schools will just have you fill out a form. So find that out ahead of time, because you do not want to be waiting on submitting your application for a fee waiver. Third, check all the deadlines for every school you might want to apply to. There are more deadlines than just your application deadline. I mean, there are more deadlines than just when the applications are due by. For example, some schools like NYU and Columbia have a separate deadline if you want to apply for any of their scholarship programs. This is separate from the merit scholarship. They have distinguished programs that you get more than just a full ride. It's a program and there are other benefits. Their priority deadline for those was December 1st. And then their cutoff date is January 1st. These are just things that are good to know. Outside of like early binding decisions and whatnot, this is also why we're opening the application as early as possible so that you can see these types of things, because that leads me into my next one. Not only do these scholarships have separate deadlines, some of them they'll all require additional essays. A big difference is like University of Pennsylvania, they have named scholarship programs, but those aren't open to apply to until you're already accepted. But Columbia and NYU, you have to apply to those with your application by that specific deadline, and their named scholarships are all very different, and it's really good to like know what they have, read through them. That also might change like how you write your personal statement as well. Research all of schools' named scholarships as early as possible. Some also require their own letter of recommendation, so just something to think about, because you don't want to be trying to submit your application for a full ride but it requires a letter recommendation and you can't get a letter recommendation in time. Also, you cannot, well, I won't say you cannot. At some point, you got to pull the trigger and submit the essays and the application. But double, triple, quadruple, quintuple check your essays and resume. Like, I just can't stress that enough, because no matter how many times you looked over it, you're probably still going to have a typo. Spell check's not going to catch. Like, I missed a parenthesis. So double check your essays before you turn them in. That brings me to another point that somebody on TikTok said, and it's so smart. And did I listen? No. They said that you should submit the applications to the schools you don't want to go to the most first, because you'll refine your applications as you go through them. I planned on doing that, but I'm also applying later than I wanted to. So I just wanted to get my application into my number one pick as soon as possible. But here we are. If I would have applied to like my not first choice schools first, I would have caught that parenthesis and whatnot before I submitted to the school I really want to go to. You cannot possibly plan ahead enough. You just can't. And I think that what makes a really good law student is somebody who is prepared, because I think what makes a good lawyer is somebody who is well prepared, and how prepared you are for your applications is a reflection of you. It's a reflection of you professionally, it's a reflection of you academically, and so not being prepared is just not an excuse. That is why the early bird gets the worm and is rewarded with more scholarship opportunities. More seats are open. It's less competitive when you apply early. I mean, it's competitive, but it's less competitive because they have a full class to fill instead of only a few spots. So the people who apply early with a good application are rewarded, and I see why. Because the only way that you can submit a really good application early is by being prepared. Another thing is, this isn't application procedure related, but content of your application related, or procedurally as well. Check the optional essay requirements. Some schools are a little bit more lax, and you might, if you haven't attended a Zoom for one of the school you want to go to's admissions, like admission info Zooms, I did a video on that too. Reach out to admissions, email or call, and find out, because for example, Columbia, they have like 6 optional essays, 5 or 6, and you can only submit one, which means if you want to submit a diversity statement, it has to be one of those 6. They have a prompt for it. You cannot submit a diversity statement outside of an optional essay. And then you have a school like Stanford. They have an optional essay that's designed to be a diversity statement, like it's designed to serve that purpose. But I had asked the dean if I could do that and submit a diversity statement, because the story I wanted to tell in that optional essay wasn't the diversity statement I had planned, and she said that's fine. It's not fine with Columbia. It is fine with Stanford. These are things that you should know. Also, some schools allow you to only do one optional essay, like Columbia. Some schools, like Penn, will allow you to do more than one. So like me, I did them all. They had 6 optional essays. I did every single one. I had things to say, so I did them for a reason. Also, for example, like some schools have an additional spot that you can put a why this school essay, some that might be considered part of the optional essays. Just know, optional essays are not actually optional. They're optional for your application to be complete and reviewed. They are not optional if you want to actually be accepted and admitted. Research those optional essays because they matter. Give yourself time to do them and find out the school's requirements for how many they accept, what the prompts are, and really plan out what you're going to say. Like, I knew I was going to do all of Penn's optional essays, so I have, like, my essays cover so many different things. So now when it comes to a school that I can only submit one, it's like I don't know which one to do, because I feel like they're all a piece of me that's really important for admissions to know, and I have to pick what I think is the most important. Unless you do an addendum with law school applications, it's very much giving it depends. Like, the instructions are specific, but there's also wiggle room for interpretation and flexibility, just a little. So give yourself enough time to contact admissions and find out these things. Don't wait until the last minute. It's funny because when I was talking to the dean of Stanford, she said she doesn't look at the date on the application when she reads them, but she does notice that the later it gets in the admission cycle, the thinner the applications get, because people are just rushing to turn something in. And I get what she means now, because if you're trying to meet the deadline for applications, you're just trying to get the minimum requirements in, and that's why a lot of people don't get in. I mean, there's other reasons why people don't get in, but that's a big one, because people don't do all of the optional essays or any of the optional essays. Give yourself time to give thoughtful answers. Think about what concerns admissions could have about you. What reasons could they have to not want to admit you? And get ahead of it and address it. Make sure you don't leave any questions about yourself unanswered. These are things that make a good application versus a great application versus, an application of somebody who gets admitted. Think of your application like a puzzle, and each component is a different piece that tells something different about you. And you want to make sure that you're planning all your pieces out to not be redundant and cover something else about yourself that you feel the admissions committee will need to make a decision about you. Anyways, I'm rambling now and I need to get back to my applications, but I wanted to get this uploaded. I also want to do a Q&A video. So I did a community post, but you could put it in the comments here too. Any questions, so instead of doing a full video to answer one question or one topic, it's going to be like short answers to a bunch of questions. So if you have any questions for me about my law school journey so far, application process, LSAT, anything, put it in the comments so that I can address it in the next video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, share, all of that. It helps me out a lot. But not only does it help me out, it helps other people like yourself who really need this information find it. I will see you in the next video.